almost 5 months after India's independence from the British rule. On the day of 30th January in the year 1948, then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, makes an announcement on the All India Radio addressing the people of India. That was an announcement that shook the world. India had lost one of its most important personalities. Millions were grieving, and a lot more were anxious to know what had exactly happened and why it had happened. The incident that took place that day in the Birla Mandir would become one of the most controversial subjects in Indian politics, and it is a controversial topic till date. An incident that sparked violence and raised so many questions. An incident that further polarized a particular ideology. On 30th January 1948, Jawaharlal Nehru addresses the people of India. The light has gone out of our lives, and there is darkness everywhere. I do not know what to tell you and how to say it. Our beloved leader, Bapu, as we called him, the father of the nation, is no more. Perhaps I'm wrong to say that. Nevertheless, we will never see him again as we have seen him for these many years. We will not run to him for advice and seek solace from him. And that is a terrible blow, not to me, but to millions and millions in this country. And it is a little difficult to soften the blow by any other advice that I or anyone else can give you. These were the words that Nehru said on All India Radio that day. This is the story from one of the most controversial pages of Indian history. This is the story of Gandhi's assassination. Hello to all the curious bees out there. Now sit back, plug in your earphones and relax as we travel to the first year of independent India and begin the story of this murder plot. On 20th January 1948, Nathuram Godse and his accomplice Narayan Apte, Digambar Bagde, and Gopal Godse, the younger brother of Nathuram Godse, and a few more were all set to assassinate Gandhi. These men had procured 2 revolvers and some hand grenades to accomplish their goal. Gandhiji was at the Birla House located in the south central part of Delhi, speaking to a gathering of people. The men reached the Birla House and started to implement their plan. Their plan was to assassinate Gandhi. And the plan was a very simple one. One of them would throw a hand grenade at the crowd gathered to hear Gandhi speak. After the explosion of the first grenade, a second grenade would also be thrown to make sure that people scatter away and start running, fearing for their lives. And this was the moment they would round up the isolated Gandhiji and shoot him to death. But little did they know that this simple plan would become an utter failure for them. As per the plan, one of the men threw a grenade amongst the crowd while Gandhiji was speaking. The crowd became frantic and started panicking. Now, as per the plan, Digambar Bagde was supposed to throw the second grenade that would ensure that Gandhi was totally isolated. But right after the first grenade's explosion, Digambar lost his courage and ran away, camouflaging amongst the large number of people gathered. The group quickly realized that their plan to assassinate Gandhi had failed. But they were not ready to give up. Hell-bent to assassinate Gandhi, they regrouped and started formulating a new plan to kill him. This time, the plan would be much more simpler, but there was also a downside to this. This plan was much more direct, and they were all sure that they will be caught by the police and public seconds after one of them pulls the trigger. But that did not matter to them. All that seemed important to them was killing Gandhi and ensuring that they succeed this time with zero flaws. But before we jump into the second assassination attempt that was made by Nathuram Godse and his accomplices. Why was Nathuram Godse and his group of men so deliberate to kill Gandhi? Why were they agitated? What pushed them to take such an extreme step that would make them one of the greatest villains of the nation at that time? The prime accused, Nathuram Godse, has himself answered these questions. According to Godse, he had no problems with Gandhi's principles of ahimsa. But Gandhi's views on religious tolerance was something that Godse completely disagreed with. Godse firmly believed that religious tolerance was shoved down the throat of Hindus and not on Muslims. It seemed as if Gandhi had a soft corner for the Muslims and was ready to throw Hindus in the sacrificial pyre for them. Several of his actions and soft approach in handling riots led to the death of a lot of Hindus. Godse thought that Gandhi could have stopped these from happening if he had wanted to, and felt that he was responsible for the tragic death of thousands of Hindus. Godse firmly thought that the violent actions should only be dealt with violent self-defense and not by organizing hunger strikes and peaceful hartals. In Godse's own words, he said, Gandhi had betrayed his Hindu religion and culture by supporting Muslims at the expense of Hindus. Because his lectures of ahimsa were directed and accepted by the Hindu community and Hindu community only, I sat brooding intensely on the atrocities perpetrated on Hinduism and its dark and deadly future if left to face Islamic Pakistan and Gandhi inside India. I decided all of a sudden to take the extreme step against Gandhi. I did not hate Gandhi. I revered him because we both venerated much in Hindu religion, Hindu history, and Hindu culture. We both were against superstitious aspects and the wrongs in Hinduism. Therefore, I bowed before Gandhi when I met him, said Godse. Then he went on to add that he performed his moral duty and killed Gandhi. Godse argued that Gandhi should have stepped in to stop the killings of Hindus and Sikhs in Pakistan. He wanted Gandhi to take the situation with seriousness and act according to it. But Gandhi resorted to fasts and peaceful protests, and this, Godse believed, was the reason for the death of Hindus and Sikhs in Pakistan, and also resulted in the partition of India. After independence, Godse felt that India, instead of acting according to its national interest, began to act according to Gandhi's personal interests. The riots that happened during the Direct Action Day in Bengal, the millions of Hindus were forced to leave their homes and were looted of all their wealth and hard-earned money, lakhs of Hindus who lost their lives, women who were raped, all made Godse fume with rage. He then finally decided to get rid of Gandhi and clear him from the political pedestal of India, which would then result in what he thought would be actions based on the nation's interest and not that of Gandhi's. Cut to 30th January 1948. Gandhi was walking towards the raised lawn in the Birla House to preside over an evening prayer meeting. Godse shouldered the task of assassinating Gandhi and marched towards Gandhi, who was surrounded by people as always. He finally met Gandhi face to face. He bowed down to him with respect and pranams to his knowledge about Indian culture and eagerness to reform the society. But he also had to kill him for the damage he had caused according to him. He then drew the 7-bore automatic pistol and aimed it at Gandhiji and shot him thrice, point blank. The bullets pierced Gandhiji's body. As he fell down, he instantly passed away on the lap of Abha Chatterjee, a girl whom Gandhi had adopted. The mystery here is that several people present at the scene reported that they heard 4 shots being fired, but only 3 hit Gandhi's body. But that's a different discussion. Anyways, seconds after the bullets pierced the body of Gandhi and he fell down before breathing his final breath, the crowd realized what had happened within a span of few seconds. They were certainly agitated. Now, an American man, Herbert Rayner, was just appointed as the Vice Consul of the American Embassy in India, in Delhi. He was also present at the prayer meeting. While other followers rushed towards the bleeding Gandhi, Herbert Rayner rushed towards Nathuram Godse, who still stood there without even attempting to escape, and caught hold of him. Another set of crowd then shifted their attention towards Godse, the assassin of their beloved Mahatma. And Godse was standing there with cold eyes. They started to throw their hands at him with anger and sorrow. Godse was soon handed over to the police. An FIR was soon registered, and the court proceedings began sooner than expected owing to the seriousness of the crime and agitations by the people. Several people were lined up and investigated regarding the assassination of Gandhi. The prosecution had called a total of 149 witnesses in the case. Amongst the people summoned to appear before the court was V.D. Savarkar, a very controversial figure in Indian politics and a staunch Hindu nationalist, but he was later acquitted by the court. 7 men, Nathuram Vinayak Godse, Gopal Godse, Narayan Apte, Shankar Kistaya, Dattatreya Parchure, Vishnu Karkare, and Madanlal Paua were convicted for the murder of Gandhiji, out of which 6 of them were charged with murder conspiracy, while Nathuram Godse was charged with murder. Nathuram Godse, along with Narayan Apte, was sentenced to death by hanging, and the order was carried out on 8th November 1949. Godse also appealed the death sentence verdict while he was in prison and requested to be given the rights to defend himself in person. Justice G.D. Khosla, who was one of the 3 judges who heard this appeal, said the following: "The audience was visibly and audibly moved. There was a deep silence when he ceased speaking. Many women were in tears and men were coughing and searching for their handkerchiefs. The silence was accentuated and made deeper by the sound of an occasional subdued sniff or a muffled cough. It seemed to me that I was taking part in some kind of a melodrama or a scene out of a Hollywood feature film. The audience most certainly thought Godse's performance was the only worthwhile part of these lengthy proceedings. I have no doubt that the audience of that day, being constituted into a jury and entrusted with the task of deciding Godse's appeal, they would have brought in a verdict of not guilty by an overwhelming majority." Decades after the assassination of Gandhiji, it is still a very hot topic to touch, a topic that fuels Indian politics until this very moment, a topic that brews all sorts of controversy. While people in reality have mixed opinions about Godse's actions, one thing all of us can agree upon is that murdering or assassinating a man cannot be justified by any means. At the same time, it cannot be denied that Gandhiji could have also dealt some serious situations with iron fists, given the amount of influence he had in the INC and amongst the people. Constructive criticisms are always the right way to analyze history, and to make sure that some mistakes are never, ever repeated again. With that, we come to the end of the B Show. Hope you all enjoyed today's episode, and as always, keep the fire of curiosity burning inside of you for eternity. See you soon and peace out.